Of course, we are just counting down the days till the NFL draft. The Patriots hold that number 4 pick. They should be holding the number 1 pick, but that is old news. That's way old news. But now it's going to bite them in the ass that they don't have the number 1 pick because Abdul Carter will be off the board, and so will Travis Hunter. And even if you try to trade up, I don't know if you're going to have buyers at 3 or 2 because the most recent report now is that the Browns might take Travis Hunter at 2. So trading up to 3 might not do you any good. You can trade back and get some good value because someone will want to trade up. If Cam Ward or even Shedeur Sanders would be available, but you're probably not going to be able to land either of those guys. And that gets more imminent by the day, more inevitable that you're not going to end up with one of those guys. So one of the popular names still on these mock drafts is Will Campbell. That was the hot name from the beginning. That was the name that we were talking about in about October, November, when it looked like he and Kelvin Banks from Texas were going to be the 2 offensive tackle prospects in the entire draft. And that's where the Patriots need to fill the biggest need is that offensive line and get someone to protect Drake May's ass as he is your franchise quarterback. But something happened throughout this season that the scouts didn't love. It wasn't anything to do with Will Campbell's play. The problem was he might not be big enough to play tackle in this league. The 33 inches on the arm length, that's what you need to be a Pro Bowl, all-pro tackle, to really be an NFL tackle in this league. He doesn't measure out to that. He did it his pro day, but not at the NFL Combine. He did at the one that was held on the campus that he's played at for 4 years, but not the one where there's hundreds of prospects coming through and their job is to just get an accurate representation of what these guys are actually measuring out at. But the closer we get to this draft, the more confident I feel that they are going to draft Will Campbell, number 4 overall. Not confident in that's being the great pick, but the more confident I am that they are going to draft Will Campbell. Again, you ask me, I think the best move is still to trade back, get some more draft capital, get a good impact player at 7 or 8, someone like a Walker from Georgia. Maybe Mason Graham falls to you if another team likes the Michigan corner. But finding some value in getting an extra pick, extra premium pick. Instead, the closer we get to it, I think they're going to pick Will Campbell. And I think the biggest reason why they're going to pick Will Campbell is Doug Marone. Mike Vrabel plays a part in this too, of course. But everything outside of the arms, you love about Will Campbell. Because you take the measurables out of this. The kid was a damn good tackle this year and the year before. And when it came time to play in football, the kid was real good at it. His quarterback didn't get sacked. And he was the best tackle prospect in football when they were playing games. I say this about quarterbacks every year, and I think maybe the same should go for every position. But I'm always wary of those quarterbacks that don't have great draft grades when they're playing games, and then when they get a pro day, they all of a sudden shoot up the board. We see it just about every year. J.J. McCarthy was that guy last year. He was not projected to be a first-round pick when he was actually quarterbacking Michigan and playing more games than anybody else in college football, winning the national championship. He was not picked to be a first-round guy then. But then a couple weeks later, they were like, oh my God, this guy could go inside the top 10. Would the Patriots take a shot at J.J. McCarthy at 3? And you were like, what is happening? Now, the jury's still out on J.J. He didn't play this year. The other guy that is the poster child of this fallacy is Zach Wilson. Good player, kind of an exciting player at BYU, but only starts 1 year. It's the COVID season. It's a run-heavy offense. He does a lot of RPO in it. And then he throws the ball 60 yards on a line in his pro day. And lo and behold, Zach Wilson's number 2 pick in the draft and the savior for the New York Jets. That strike anybody else as odd? Yeah, it happens all the time. But does that carry over to the offensive line? Because Will Campbell, before we knew that his arms were too short to play tackle, he was a really good tackle in the SEC. the best in the country, actually, playing against the best competition that college football has to offer. But the writing is still there. There just aren't guys in NFL history who've overcome that and been top of the line, all pro left tackles, which is the standard you're looking for when you're picking inside the top 5 of the NFL draft. But again, all the other stuff, other than the measurables, all the intangibles, the non-measurable stuff we love, the PFF grade, what he does on the field, the way he carries himself off it, is known as this great team leader at LSU. He answers everything, kind of the correct way. He has a ton of confidence in himself, which I do like about the kid. He's heard this question a bunch the last 3 months, and he's saying, I don't care how short my arms are. My tape speaks for itself. I'm a damn good football player. Someone's going to find that out, and someone is probably going to get a steal with me. Like, he thinks he's the best player in the draft, which I love. And Mike Vrabel, looking at this thing and talking about a culture shift in this locker room, he sees a leader, he sees a football head, and he sees a guy who's very confident in his own abilities, who's part of a good program at LSU. Not a national championship program, but a good program, and being a big time leader there and taking on, the kind of pressure that comes with being a Louisiana kid and being captain of the LSU football team. I think Mike Vrabel likes all of that. And the thing he likes the most is that he hired Doug Marone. This is what it comes back to. The Patriots are going to draft Will Campbell because Doug Marone is their offensive line coach, a guy who has head coaching experience, who has been a damn good offensive line coach in the past. They see a guy like that and they say, we can draft Will Campbell. All the projections are saying he should be a guard. Doug Marone can make him into a tackle. He's got the skill. We just need to hone a couple of extra things here, a couple of technique things that guys with shorter arms typically can't do. And Doug can do that. And in a weird way, I commend them on that line of thinking. Because to be fair, where I wouldn't draft Will Campbell, and I see that as red flags, they did kind of do that for years with Dante Scarnecchia, the greatest offensive line coach in history. The way they didn't use it on top 5 picks, right? But they saw guys that were kind of run-of-the-mill jag offensive linemen, and they said, we have Dante Scarnecchia here. He can put this thing together. He's the best that we've got. I think that's the same way that Bill Belichick looked at Dante Scarnecchia. I think that's the same way that Mike Vrabel looks at Doug Marone. Says, man, this guy has cut his teeth doing this for decades in the NFL. He's done it at the highest level. He's run some great offensive line units. I'm not giving him a jag. I'm giving him an ultra talented offensive lineman here. Whether he's a tackle or whether he's a guard, I trust that Doug Marone can make him a tackle. The second most important position on the field at left tackle. That's why the Patriots are going to draft him number 4 overall. And to me, it is a humongous risk. Even if he's one of the best guards in the game, you don't take a guard in the first round. You definitely don't take him inside the top 5. But I think from all that we have heard from when Mike Vrabel took this job, right? And the accountability in the locker room and the culture in the locker room and the voluntary workouts that aren't necessarily voluntary. Like that all fits what Will Campbell has provided to us, right? Football head, offensive line, in the trenches kind of guy, the place where Mike Vrabel wants to win, and apparently Elliott Wolf wants to win as well. And I feel like Vrabel looks at this and sees some of himself. Vrabel was a defensive end in college who converts to outside linebacker because he wasn't big enough. And he becomes a great pass rushing linebacker. And he looks at his teammate, Teddy Bruschi, who wasn't big enough to play on the defensive line in the NFL the same way he was in college. He becomes a great Mike linebacker. Now, the difference is that Will Campbell, if you're trying to get the best value out of him, wouldn't be able to switch positions, right? Because the most values at tackle. But I think Mike Vrabel sees that and he's like, you know what? I had the attitude this kid did. I was an Ohio kid playing for Ohio State. He's a Louisiana kid playing for Louisiana State. I know where this kid's coming from. And I had a ton of confidence in my abilities and other teams didn't. And I was playing special teams for the Steelers for years. And, Teddy Bruschi should have been a first-round pick. Instead, he slid because, teams didn't see him at this position. I see a diamond in the rough here. I think Mike Vrabel is leaning on his own experience. For better or for worse, we could be totally right. And we're trusting him, right? And I think he sees a guy in Doug Marone that can make Will Campbell the left tackle that's worthy of being taken in the top 5. Because the way they've talked about this kid, they have not shut it down. They have not at all. In fact, every time they've spoken about him, they've spoken glowingly about Will Campbell, whether it's Mike Vrabel or Elliott Wolf or even a little bit of Doug Marone. Just the way they're talking about it, they're going to draft this kid. And I guess for a silver lining for Patriots fans, I think we'd rather have him at 4 than Tet McMillan at 4, right? I think most of us would rather them trade back, get some extra picks, and get a quality guy in the first round and maybe spend on a tackle late in the first round if you can get back into it or in the second round. Because the best news about this is the Patriots will use one of their top 2 picks on a tackle. They've ignored that position for years. They did it under Belichick. They did it under Elliott Wolf last year. They've just thought they could coast by, I guess, because they had Dante, 5-6 years ago. But I think now they realize they can't do that. So that is the silver lining for Patriots fans, is that they will spend a premium pick on offensive tackle. And in all likelihood, I think it's going to be Will Campbell, number 4 overall. I still don't love it. Just the measurables still red flag to me, but I think that's where they're going to go. Is it a disaster? Is it a risk worth taking? Do you see him as an all-pro in the future? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if I'm being stupid or not, please. Or if I just look good today, look handsome, because I'm really tired. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are bringing you nothing but Boston sports content 5 days a week with me, Cam Stuart, your host. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. Check out the other videos on the channel, talking the Patriots and the rest of the Boston sports teams, and find us wherever you get your podcasts as well.